So a friend of mine had this Coke machine. He's had it for a long time. Evidently, he knows the guy who used to stock this thing and filled it for like over 20 years. But basically, it's just a Coca-Cola refrigerated vending machine. You can see you would put 20 cents into the thing in order to get your drink. And as far as I understand, once you had paid for the drink, it would unlock the slots here, and you could grab one bottle and pull it. And once the bottle pulled through there like that, it would then reset it, and you would have to pay again before you could unlock the doors. As far as I understand, that's how it works. But he said it started tripping a breaker. No matter what, it would just blow the breaker immediately if you tried to power the thing on. So he wired a new cord to it right here, and he said that didn't change anything. Now the compressor that's in here is ancient. I'm guessing this system's running on R12, but I don't actually know for sure. There's some of the date codes and stuff on the compressor, but probably it's some kind of issue with the compressor, in which case this thing might not be worth messing with. So if the compressor is bad, then this thing is basically decorative. I don't know if it would actually be worth replacing the compressor and trying to get the system up and running again, just because of the age of it. But that is something I could do if I wanted. Honestly, not super fond of the machine. In fact, I told them if they could sell it, to just sell it, but I think they just didn't want to mess with it either, so they brought it here. So it's either something simple and we can just fix it and sell it, or it's something major and we can sell it as a parts one, or we can scrap it. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm going to grab my electrical tester, and then we'll maybe just cut the wire going to the compressor and we'll see if it's shorted to ground. So I'm sure it's just going to trip the breaker when we plug it in, but let's do it anyway just to see. So this outlet here is just like a 15 amp outlet, and it is on the circuit with my lights, which is technically not ideal. I think you're not really supposed to do that, but yep, it trips the breaker immediately. And then let's cut the wire, or disconnect rather, the wire going to the compressor and see if it does the same thing. So here's the wire. I disconnected the ground screw so that it would let it up here, and let's just cut this away and see how he's got it wired up, because it's possible he was actually on the right trail. Maybe there was just some kind of wiring issue, but maybe when he put this back together, it still had problems. So it would appear so one of these is always grooved and one of these is always smooth, and it looks like he put the grooved one with the hots, which actually the grooved one is supposed to be neutral, but a lot of the time it doesn't matter for some of the simple stuff. Put also this grooved one to the hot and the smooth one to the neutral, and I'm not sure what that's going to. So this is the power that appears to be going to the compressor. This likely goes up to like the fan motor or something, but we're gonna just power it up now like this. See if it still trips the breaker. Okay, did not trip the breaker. 121 volts, so that's what I would expect. Go ahead and unplug it now. And now we're going to check for a dead short between these two leads. And that would be sad if we have a dead short between these two, but 2 ohms. So yeah, pretty much a dead short on that side. Now this obviously goes to fan motor windings and stuff. Let's see, this side thinks it's like a capacitor or something. So that's not looking so great for the compressor. This bit of wiring over here looks a little suspicious. Why don't we cut this open and see what this looks like? Probably the condensing fan motor was replaced at some point. Doesn't appear that this was arcing or anything.
I turned it off.
But it's kind of weird that they didn't use wire nuts. And this wire, I believe, just goes to the condensing fan motor. Hey, will you shine that light over here, Everly? So we will actually, since we're going to put wire nuts here anyway, let's just disconnect entirely the condensing fan motor. So now the condensing fan motor is out of the circuit. Now we can again check this and see what kind of ohm rating we're getting. Yeah, that's a really low ohm rating, so I don't feel too great about the compressor starting, but just for fun, we'll hook the grooved one to the neutral, which is not how it was hooked up before, but technically how it should have been hooked up, but usually it doesn't make a difference anyway because it's just going to a motor, unless somebody like bonded it to the ground, which it's not supposed to be the case, but sometimes people do weird stuff like that. So let's see how many amps this draws. So we'll go amps alternating current, put it right there, and it's going to shut off the lights again. Whoa, compressor actually started. Okay, that's not at all what I was expecting, but that actually means that that fan motor maybe, or something else, is the problem. Okay, I cannot believe that that compressor actually started. Wow, I am genuinely surprised slash horrified slash wow. This actually might be fixable. So we're going to disconnect the compressor leads again, and now we're going to hook up this fan motor and see if it trips with this fan motor hooked up. If it does, then it was just a fan motor that was bad and everything else on it is fine, which would be crazy. I would be really surprised. Okay, fan motor hooked up. Fan motor works. So that means wherever this goes, perhaps there's an issue. It's unplugged again, by the way. Okay, grooved to earth. This one to the hot. How I remember, I shouldn't tell you how I remember, but I'll tell you. I always remember that the grooved wire with the two blacks, there's a smooth and a grooved. I always remember that the grooved one is earth because I picture a plowed field. So I just imagine that the grooves on there are like a plowed field, and that reminds me of dirt, which reminds me of earth, which reminds me of ground. So that's how I remember. You should come up with your own way, but that's how I think of it. Okay, let's see if it trips the breaker now. Didn't even trip the breaker now. So I can hear the fan motor, I think, on the inside of the unit running. So interesting. Maybe he, in the wiring process, accidentally created a short, got rid of the original short, created a new short, and it's just been having issues. But we might have fixed this thing. You need to go potty?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I just got this key opened. There's an issue. This tumbler part had kind of come apart, so it was giving me some issues opening it. Looks like we're missing a retainer of some kind there. I don't know if it is in here. Oh yeah, look at that. It must have rattled out on its way here. Yeah. That'll make it much easier to get open. Thankfully, I don't think I damaged anything while trying to get it open. I think this is the latch then that allows you to get into the actual refrigerator portion. Yes, that is correct. Here's the thermostat. And check out this evaporator. Super neat. I've not seen very many evaporators that are shaped like this. This thing got really musty. It smells kind of moldy in there. There's like a little bit of mildew on there, which is kind of a bummer. now we can see how they actually have it laid out. So 120 comes from down there, goes up through the thermostat, and then must go back down to the compressor. And then probably the fan motor in here just runs all the time. Which, where is that? Okay, so it's like a 9-watt motor. There must be just an exposed fan blade. There must just be a fan blade on the far side of that. That looks super annoying to replace. So hopefully that fan motor is still working fine. Which I could hear a humming noise. So hopefully that was the fan motor working fine. But it's possible that that humming noise was just the fan motor trying to start. I'm not sure though. So we're going to follow these back, make sure we get this wiring hooked up properly. So fan motor.
Dad, I need to wash my hands.
Doesn't look like these are...
I need to wash my hands.
Oh, did you get clay on them?
Yeah.
Okay, you may wash them in the water bucket.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. Yeah, this all seems fine where it goes through. So we just need to figure out which is which on this side. This one that comes from the thermostat needs to be hooked up to the compressor and the condensing fan motor. And then the neutrals need to be tied back to here. So it was not wired correctly. He had everything wired to come on at the same time continuously. And I'm kind of thinking that the issue was actually over here underneath that tape, because it was tripping the breaker before, and then when we switched that up, it was fine. So I think this one comes from the thermostat. Let's plug it in and see if we get some air movement in there. Really sounds like it's working. And yeah, I think I feel just a little bit of air movement. So, and I'm guessing this wants the fan motor, condensing fan motor, to run all the time. Let's see, is there any way to see back in there what's going on? Yeah. Look at that, you can just barely see the fan motor spinning away back there. Not very fast or anything. But the fan motor is working. So, we just got to get the wire coming from the thermostat so it brings down the compressor and the condensing fan motor at the same time. And yeah, we'll just switch up this wiring, grab a couple new wire nuts, and it probably is going to work, which I can't believe, but I think it is going to work. And use these. Oh, you can hand me one when I need it, okay? So it's unplugged, should be good to go that way. We're going to disconnect So I think this one's the fan motor. Oh, which if he was sending full power up to the thermostat, I guess the thermostat would have been tripping the breaker. If the thermostat is calling right now, which I'm guessing it would be, we should have continuity through this, which we don't. So I'm going to go turn the thermostat. Oh, it's switched to off right now. So let's turn that on. I heard it click. These two should be the thermostat, so we should have continuity through here. For some reason we've got 81 ohms. And let's check this one. Ah, okay. So this one is the thermostat. This one's the fan motor. It's just that since the thermostat was off just now, it wasn't tripping the breaker, which is good because that would have also been tripping the breaker. So that leads me to believe, hey, don't move the camera, please. See, we're making a video about this. So I do think it was the wiring connection going from the compressor over to the condensing fan motor. So let's get this hooked back up the way it should be. So thermostat. With the thermostat, it doesn't actually matter which one we use for grooved and which one for hot because they're both going to be hot. So power coming from the cord is going to go directly to the thermostat. Which is right here. It actually doesn't matter which one we use. Just one of them. we'll use the smooth one in this case. And then we want the evaporator fan motor to also be running all the time. So we'll hook the hot one to there. And that should be it. So here, I need a yellow one. Thank you. So this must do the lights and stuff, so we are going to hook this one back up as well. Okay, so there's power, feeding, thermostat, evaporator, fan motor, and lights. And then the neutrals can all be hooked together. I'm going to trim these wires back a little more so they're a little more opened up. It's kind of annoying having them just choked up so much. He does have a ground wire here, but it's not hooked up to anything at that end, so we're just going to ignore it. It is important that we hook this one up though, because that's the ground from the electrical system. This one, I think I'm not going to trim back more. Alright, so we've got neutral, neutral, and the neutral from the compressor, or earth, which is the grooved one. Oh, earlier I was saying ground when I meant neutral. So I just remember neutral and ground as being similar since they're bonded, but they're not the same. This is all the neutrals. Then together, all the hots, all the neutrals, and then all we need to hook is the thermostat one to the compressor one. Before I do that, let's just try plugging this in once and make sure that it's not the lighting circuit that has the short in it, which it's not. So now we can go ahead and hook up our thermostat to the compressor. And last of all, oh, Everly, are you making crackling noises back there? It's gonna be hard for people to hear. You're sitting in the baby's stroller? What are you doing? Now we just gotta hook up the condensing fan motor, and then I'll probably cycle the thermostat off and we'll plug it in, see if it trips the breaker. You know, these wires do actually look like they may be heated a little bit, so maybe that is what was tripping it. So we're gonna switch the thermostat to off. Oops, this way. Heard it click. Now I'm gonna plug it in, and it shouldn't trip the breaker. I'm pretty sure. Hey, Everly. So plug it in. Breaker did not trip. Oh, look, the light came on in the front. How charming.
I heard it.
You can hear the fan motor going. Okay, now we're going to turn on the thermostat. And I don't think it's actually going to trip this time, which is really exciting. So ready? The compressor has started. Probably set this at about 4. So yeah, it looks like we got it fixed. Here's a terminal block, kind of similar to what probably was on the other side. I can hear refrigerant surging through the system. Appears to be using a capillary style regulating device. You can see it coiled up back there. Yep, and this is getting cold, so this thing's gonna work just fine. So it's dumping that refrigerant off into this evaporator coil, spooling it back, and then coming back on the suction side right here. And very interesting design. There's obviously going to be condensation coming off of this coil portion, so it has to drain somewhere. And you can see it just lets the liquid run across the bottom and dump into this drain line here, which then goes, oh weird, into this like drip cup thing. I do not know why there would be like a weighted deal there. That's really weird. If anyone knows why that is like that, comment down below and explain why they would have that sort of drip cup thing. the condensing coil is getting warm, but not that warm. I would kind of expect it to be hotter for moving the refrigerant. But you can see there is still refrigerant in there because it's frosting up a little bit along there. That's pretty neat. So I guess I could just close this thing. I might wipe it out with a rag because it's kind of gross with the mold in there. But I think this thing just had a little short in that one wire, and all we needed to do was re-hook it up the way it was supposed to be hooked up. I think that the coin stuff all used to work, but I don't know if that's still hooked up or not. That might be kind of fun to mess with too. But I really don't know much about that stuff. I'll have to go find some nickels and dimes. So I'm not sure what's going on with the coin function. Right now, whenever you put any coin in, it just drops through. So I've been kind of looking at this. You can actually push up on these little spring-loaded tabs here, and you can pull the entire mechanism out. This part seems pretty solid. It doesn't appear to have any mechanical issues or pieces missing as far as I could tell. Now up in here, there's not much for electronics, pretty simple stuff. A couple of coils. This appears to snap in. I think that this is just perhaps an electromagnet to make sure there's no ferrous metals, but I'm really not sure how all this is supposed to work. So I'm gonna stick this back in, I think. Kind of looking at the locking mechanism. Obviously this is unlocked. And when I push it all the way open, I hear something click. Let's see if we can see what's moving. Looking along the back though, that must mean that there's an end switch. And right there, I can see there's a solenoid coil and a lever, and that thing is disconnected. So it must be that when this lever gets pushed, or rather pulled in by this solenoid, that must be how these actually lock up. So it will take this guard off and pop that solenoid out. It probably got stuck, so they just pulled the pin, so they left it unlocked. But maybe we can clean that up and get that working again if the coil's not bad. Okay, so I just stuck that piece of copper wire in there. Straight through the hole. There's another mechanism right here. And there was actually a bobby pin. Where'd it go? Or clothesline pin. This was clipped back in there, holding that switch closed, I think. I think it was holding this thing down. So I can't figure out how this locking mechanism is supposed to unlock. So obviously, it's supposed to pull this solenoid this way, and that relocks it. Because when you try to pull a bottle, this pin comes down and hits right here, like so. So somehow this has to go the other way, out here. The distance of this solenoid. So I suppose it would be all the way out to right here. At which point you can fully remove a bottle, because then this plunger can come down as far as it needs to. Now this spring right here, I was just watching a couple of videos to see if I could find a video of someone else's machine, because this spring just seems out of place to me. And I kind of think it's not supposed to be there. It's pulling from this part of the frame down to this part of the frame, and like this is like spot welded. So it's not really doing anything, except it keeps this from going too far, I guess. And this other spring up in here seems too loose, so I don't know. I kind of want to take this spring out. And that little spring that was loose wasn't even attached to anything. up there, so I just pulled it from there down to here, and now look at this. That seems more sound. So this must be, that's a locked position. I believe that is also a locked position, so I don't know. Okay, I think I've finally figured out this mechanism. So I think it's missing some kind of spring. Maybe there was a spring inside of the solenoid itself that pushes the solenoid open, like that. I don't really know. You guys can comment down below and tell me if I'm understanding this correctly. But basically, when this snaps closed, the mechanism is locked because of that pin right there. And when this is all the way open, the mechanism is, I think, unlocked. As you pull, it cams this over, and then like that, it ratchets up so you can only remove one drink, and then the machine is locked up again. And when you put 4 coins in, so we'll just push this down with our finger, 1, 2, 3, 4, it snaps that back, which knocks this back to this position again. And what we need is a spring to then pull the solenoid open again after it momentarily got snapped closed, which will then make it so that you can take a drink. And once you've taken your drink, it relocks again. So I think I finally got it figured out. It's missing some kind of spring to pull this thing out between cycles. And so this spring possibly is it, but for some reason they had it installed from here down through here. It was just someone had been in here monkeying around and did not quite get it correctly. So I think I can maybe hook this spring here. I'm going to clean this up so it doesn't have too much friction going in and out of there. But if I pull directly straight in line with like here, that should give it its best chance to cycle properly. Pretty cool though. Okay, so I think I got it. So I did put a little bit of WD-40 on there. Hopefully that's not a problem. It's kind of tricky getting this spring. I drilled a hole here, and then I got this spring shortened up to the point where it seems to be strong enough to pull it close or pull it back open. I think without interfering with the magnet there. So let's see. So you would remove your pop. Right now it's unlocked. You remove your pop, puts it back into the locked position. Come over here. Put in 4 nickels. 1, 2, 3, 4. And yep, it put it into the unlocked position again. Take your pop. Locked again. Sweet. So I'm gonna put this back where it goes. There's just 2 screws up here, and it drops in on a couple pegs down at the bottom. Oh, here's a fastener I didn't see. Yeah, and then I think it'll actually work with the coins too, which is crazy. So yeah, technically now this is a fully functional machine. I'm gonna put this cover back in, and we'll turn on the refrigeration. Then we'll actually test it for fun. I'll have to get some bottles that actually fit in here, but that's actually pretty neat. Now that we got it all figured out. Yeah, so that ended up being a lot easier than I expected to get going again. It took a couple hours to figure out the coin part of the system, but now that I actually think I got it, it's kind of neat. So you approach the machine, you try to steal a Coke, but you can't because all these levers are locked, right? So then you bust out your change. Oh, I forgot to put this back in. And it says you can do either 4 nickels or 2 dimes and 2 nickels. But I was having trouble with the 2 dimes, 2 nickels part. Deposit 2 dimes and 2 nickels, or 4 nickels. So 20 cents is the total. So let's try depositing 2 dimes. Rejected that one for some reason. And it rejected it again. So it does have one of my dimes though, so let's just try putting 2 nickels and the other dime now. Maybe it'll work now. Where's my dime? Seems to have eaten my dime. So maybe it will only work with nickels. So once it makes that brrr noise, that means it has unlocked a Coke. And you can remove one, and then it relocks again. So cool. Then you'd have your pop and you could use the bottle opener. And, oh, I didn't actually show this, but... Oh, there's our dime. That went missing. There's actually a Coke, or bottle catcher, bottle lid return catcher thing. So, with some in there. But yeah, kind of a neat little, really cute little machine. I just have not had much experience with these until today, and now I feel like I'm almost an expert. Something that would be kind of cool would be to fix the light that's on the back of this. It appears to just take some kind of weird incandescent bulb. But I don't know where I'd get one of those. Actually, I do. The internet. But I don't know if I'm going to bother with it. I think I've gotten it to a point now where it's pretty nice. I don't know if I'll keep it or if I'll end up just selling it, but it is actually in really good condition and pretty cute. Yeah, I thought it was a total waste of time, but you saw how surprised I was when the compressor actually started. So, kind of amazing that they can make stuff. I think this thing is from the 60s. I'm not exactly sure. But like, you never see compressors like this out in the wild anymore. But this thing's still just hammering away, working like a champ. Really impressive. Oh yeah, which reminds me I need to reclamp this back down to the ground and do a little wire management stuff here. So it's really cool. I was like, how come you can't just grab like 2 Cokes at once? And it's because of those twist things. The way they have to push all the other ones opposite directions. If you try to do 2 of them, the whole thing binds up. So like if I grab 2 and pull, it won't let me go. But if I just pull 1, it'll let me take it. So that's how they keep you from stealing 2 when you just pay for 1. Or stealing up to 6, I guess. Or 8. Wait, how many? 3, 6, 7, yeah, 8 slots. That is so cool. So much clever mechanical wonder built into this thing. So I got the wires attached here. It's not the most perfect wire management. It would have been nicer to have like a sort of little junction box or something, but it's fine. You actually see stuff like this very commonly in older coolers and freezers, so I'm not going to worry about it. But yeah, there it is. Functional again, which is just, I think, really cool. So cool. That thing is awesome. So anyway, I hope that you found that video interesting. Once in a while you just end up working on a project that's not exactly the most profitable, perhaps, but kind of interesting nonetheless. So, wasn't as much of a refrigeration problem as I was expecting. I was kind of expecting the video to go like, here's this old thing, look at this old compressor, and oh yep, it's shot. And then kind of whatever, just look at the mechanical setup of it. But very neat. Definitely the oldest like compressor evaporator combo I've worked on in a long time. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later.